glad you could come along.
I put a spell on you.
Grid is live. Initiate light cycle battle.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
For a safe trip, remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the cabin. Be sure to watch your children, and no smoking, please.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pirates and Princesses. This is Tom. I am here with Cam.
Hello.
And it's time for more Disney and Universal news and views, and we've got a lot on the docket today. So,
yes.
Cam, tell us what we're going to talk about.
Okay, so there's so much. So we have Richard Sherman passing away.
Yeah.
We have some news about Disneyland, some news about Disney World. Doug's talking now.
Doug is talking.
Yes, there's a film coming out about Club 33, which, seems tone deaf. Halloween Horror Nights announcements, a Bluey Day fiasco. And there's a woman who was injured on the Humunga Cowabunga, a different woman this time.
Yeah.
And there's a whole situation going on with John Musker's comments about current year Disney. So there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. Every time we think there's not going to be enough Disney news, there's always enough Disney news to talk about. So if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe wherever you found this podcast. Go out to piratesandprincesses.net for more objective Disney news. Follow us on X, follow us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram. Follow.
That's right.
All right.
We'll lead. Anyway, real quick before we talk about it here, I want to tell you guys too, Shop Disney, Disney Store today has some really, really cool things up. They put up some new sketchbook ornaments, but these ones are based on theme park attractions. So they have ones like, they have the gate to Walt Disney World, the Disneyland marquee, but they have like Pirates of the Caribbean, Peter Pan's Flight, a whole bunch of the like little buildings that are like Disney parks buildings. They're very cool. They're about $35 each. Also, I want to mention that they have a bunch of Jim Shore sculpture pieces came up today. There's one of Figment. There's one of Victor Geist from the Haunted Mansion with Glows in the Dark. So, of course, I love that because I'm a huge Haunted Mansion fan. There's a Jungle Cruise one. There's a Pirates of the Caribbean jail. There's a bunch of them. So if you collect Jim Shore or you want to buy the ornaments or people are using them for just displaying on the shelves, you might want to go check that out on DisneyStore.com.
Okay.
Because I know other people might like to collect that, and I want to let them know. But we're going to start off with Richard M. Sherman.
Yeah, the last remaining Sherman brother has passed away at age 95. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know the Sherman brothers, I'm sure you've heard their work. They were heavily involved in so many classic Disney productions.
It's a Small World song.
Yeah.
Sherman Brothers.
Yeah.
There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. Sherman Brothers.
Sherman Brothers.
They did Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, The Parrot Trap.
Yeah.
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins is probably what they're best known for, but they even did One Little Spark. That was
that
theirs.
was them? Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
I almost bought the Jim Shore Figment statue too, so that, Yeah, so they were really important. Like I can't emphasize enough how important they were to Disney and to where Disney is now and how things people remember about Disney. Now, his brother Robert passed away in 2012.
Yes.
So he was the one that was remaining. Between the two of them, they won 9 Oscars, 2 Grammy Awards, and over 20 gold and platinum albums.
Oh my God.
But I cannot, like Bedknobs and Broomsticks, The Jungle Book, the one and only genuine original family band, the Tigger movie.
There was
a Professor, Sword in the Stone, Summer Magic.
There's a certain sound that you can tell it's a Sherman Brothers song. Mm-hmm. And before Lin-Manuel Miranda did it, the Sherman Brothers did it, and it was
for decades.
And like that quintessential 60s, 70s Disney sound. That was them. Those catchy tunes, that was them. And again, I can't overstate how important they were, I think, to Disneyana and to the Walt Disney Company.
Agree.
And Walt loved these guys. He really did. And they did other movies too. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang wasn't a Disney movie.
No,
but
they did a bunch of other ones too, yes.
They did Snoopy Come Home. They did that one.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting because that was one of the few times that they use Vince Guaraldi to do the music. They used the Sherman Brothers because it was theatrical. I think they thought, well, we need to have, since it's a theatrical release, we got to have the Sherman Brothers because everybody knows these songs. But yeah, it's a huge loss for sure. But their music will live forever until somebody at Disney decides it's problematic, and then
they'll erase it. But so it's just a really sad thing because it's like I can't stress how much it's the end of an era. And I mean, they haven't been doing anything lately. They've done a couple things, or he did a couple things, but it's just been, they are like you said, quintessential Disneyana. They're like, it's just sad. So I wanted to make sure I told people, let them know in case you didn't hear. I'm
sure by now most people have heard, but it is. It just feels like, and this is something we're going to talk about, I think, later with kind of the state of Disney right now. That it doesn't feel like Walt's Disney anymore. And
we were watching the How Disney Built America. We didn't watch the first couple episodes. We watched the Disneyland one because you really wanted to watch that. And you could just, I don't know, just he was out there with people, getting it done.
Painting, they showed him. Now, to be honest, I did not like the guy playing him because I thought he was too milquetoast. Anybody that actually knows anything about Walt Disney knows that Walt Disney was...
He wasn't the Uncle Walt on TV.
He was not the Uncle Walt on TV. He wasn't...
He was brilliant, though.
He was brilliant, but he also was a go-getter. He also was very old school. He was a man of his time, and he just went out and he did it, and kind of that whole American ideal of, pulling yourselves up, by your bootstraps. That was kind of Disney.
Well, him and Roy. Roy, he had an idea, Walt would have an idea and Roy would make it work. And it was just... the fact that he's willing to risk everything to do what he believed in and stuff. And you don't see that with leadership at Disney now.
They have golden parachutes now.
Well, you'll see Josh tomorrow, and sometimes Bob Iger will go to the parks and they'll interact with the guests and stuff as they're touring around, which I do appreciate. I think that's cool that they do that. But for the most part, they're just not getting in there what would have done. And I just don't think the company and the innovation, he was just as innovative as the people he had working for him, and he made sure he hired really good people and treated, and mostly, there's issues, I'm sure, but he'd listen to what they'd have to say and stuff, and they don't do that now. So I think that's why we're losing a lot of creativity at Disney. And then you have Bob Iger over at the Canva Expo talking about how AI is, where we're going to go with Disney. And I'm like, that just means you're going to lay off a bunch of people. It's just a sad thing. So I'm moving on from that because I'm just going to be sad. Speaking of Disney and lacking creativity, hey guys, guess what? Tomorrow you'll get the Moana 2 trailer.
Okay, so this is the repurposed animated series made in Canada.
Yes.
Under the radar.
Yes, and those poor voice actors that had the parts have been replaced by the original voice actors from the movie now. Yeah,
that happened with, I want to say the third Aladdin movie. Robin Williams decided to come back for it because he was mad at Disney for what happened with the first Aladdin movie. So the direct-to-video sequel, they had the guy who does Homer Simpson, I think, did his voice. And then I think he recorded the role for the third movie. Then Robin Williams decided he wanted to come back. So you get kicked to the curb.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. But
Dwayne Johnson's coming back. You're gone.
Yeah. So tomorrow, at some point tomorrow, it's been announced that the trailer for Moana 2 will be dropping. We did see the poster for Moana 2 today. It was on social media, and at least X had it. So you can look forward to that tomorrow. But again, it's another... What I'm seeing out of Disney is a lot of sequels, like Moana 2, Toy Story 5, Frozen 3,
Zootopia 2, Inside Out 2.
There are some new things, but to be fair, when they've tried to do new things lately, they haven't performed. But then on the flip side, you had everything like Coco and Encanto and all those things did amazing. Now they're all, some are Disney and some are Pixar, but they all did amazing and people love them. And now we're just sticking to what, we're just going to sequel everything now because when they tried to do things like Strange World, it didn't do well.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Cause Walt, he tried some new things. Sometimes he fell flat in his face, but there was a definite, after he died, there was about 15 years where the company just kind of wandered around in the desert. They didn't really know what to do until Michael Eisner came along. But Eisner actually respected the legacy of Walt Disney. He grew up watching Walt Disney productions, and Bob Iger does not feel like a creative person. So I don't think he's putting I'm not saying there's nobody creative left at Disney, but I'm saying that for all their talk of story, and creativity, all I hear coming out of his mouth is IP, acquisitions.
Well, they're even saying that all the rides they're going to do from now on, they're trying to base it on IP.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you're going to lose things like Figment or like, the Pirates of the Caribbean or the Haunted Mansion or things that are so beloved because they were their own thing that they've later IP'd, going after IP. And then Moana 2, the whole thing about that was they said that Moana 1, it turned out to be like their most streamed movie ever. Yeah. So they went and hurried up and announced that they're going to repurpose the show into Moana 2 film right ahead of this debacle with, the boardroom seats, the whole proxy battle. Mm-hmm. And he just pulled this out of his butt and was like, oh, look, Moana 2 is coming,
Yeah.
Number 2. Anyway, and I love Moana. Don't get me wrong. I love Moana, and Moana 2 might be fantastic. And if it's good, I'll say so. I'm not saying it's going to be a bad movie. I'm not saying any of these movies are going to be bad movies because they're sequels. What I'm just seeing is that Disney's doubling down on what IP they've already built and they know works instead of creating new IP and finding the next thing. And that's a little concerning because Disney always would have new things. And now we're just going to be like, okay, we're just going to get like sequel after sequel after sequel. And that's very concerning. Yeah, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think there's a definite difference between, and that's why, the Sherman brothers passing, it does feel like the end of that era.
Creativity.
Yeah.
Speaking of the things that we're going to IP everything, Splash Mountain. So they're going to have We Call It Imagineering. That's their YouTube show.
Right.
They're going to have a new episode. I think it's tomorrow, and it's going to be about Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and they're going to have like some behind the scenes look at it. I think I got a preview of it. So if you're really interested in Tiana's Bayou Adventure, you're probably going to want to turn into the YouTube, their YouTube channel where it says that We Call It Imagineering's there. And you're going to want to watch this because they put a trailer out for today, but it's definitely going to focus on the new ride that's coming out next month.
Now, I will give them, from what I have seen of it, I was concerned it was going to be all screens, that it does look like they're actually building some really good animatronics. Mm-hmm. Now, how they're going to hold up with all the water, I don't know.
I'm more concerned about we have 5 different different types of music from New Orleans, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah, we're not getting. My understanding is we're not getting Dr. Facilier, which is
a big mistake.
That was. I'm like, this is a no-brainer. You put him at the end of the ride. And you go, you have to escape his friends from the other side.
This is like supposed to be after the movie, and he's already gone.
I know,
it's
but
it's supposed to be in the future.
Well, he comes back. It's directed. They're gonna make a Princess and the Frog 2 anyway, probably someday.
Probably.
So he comes back.
Well, with this ride, they're gonna because they're gonna do it now because they have the ride. So yeah, I think they should have focused on the movie for the ride because it's already there. It's timeless, And like you said, Facilier would be the perfect.
Oh my God,
ending.
he's so everybody, like, even
your friends on the other side.
Even if you don't like the Princess and the Frog movie, everybody loves Dr. Facilier. And they love that song. Are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready to get dropped on your ass?
Yeah. You're right. It would be perfect.
Dropped into the water? Yeah. I think that'd be awesome.
No, I don't think you're getting that. So, but there's going to be a preview of that on that show on YouTube, I believe it is, tomorrow. So we're moving on from that. Oh, Doug, Doug from Up, the dog. Yeah. He now talks.
Well, he talked before.
But at the costume character does.
Okay.
So when you go to Disney's Animal Kingdom, you can now find Doug walking around and he is talking. I actually have a clip of that. Do you want me to play it?
Yeah, sure.
I bet you are good at barking. Oh. You bark at me like this?
That's pretty good, right? Thanks, Doug.
So now he won't shut up.
Yeah. Well, he's got his collar now, so you can talk to him now if you see him. Now, he's no longer meeting at the Wilderness Explorers Clubhouse. You can still find Russell there, but Doug is walking around Discovery Island, back where you find Kevin wandering. There's no set times. He's just wandering around aimlessly. So if you go outside area, you'll be able to find him and you can talk to him now.
There you go. So, so I wonder what else he's going to come up with. Like our dogs, if you put a collar on them, I think they'd just be like, we like kibble. We would like more kibble. Could you
give us more food?
Give us more food, and then we have to go poop.
Yes. Can we go for another walk? Long walk, longer walk. Yeah. Pet me.
More kibble.
Scratch my belly. Give me kibble. Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, so you can go see Doug Now He Talks. That was one of the things that came back. Disneyland brought Fantasmic back.
But
it returned. Yeah, there's a big but. It returned. Then they did add the Peter Pan elements they had in before. They had taken it out. They put that back in. But sadly, Murphy the Dragon did not return.
Well, Murphy went up in flames.
I was explaining this story to my family yesterday. They didn't know this happened last year, and I was explaining what happened. My mom and dad did. My sister didn't. And I was explaining what happened and Mickey's reaction, because I think Mickey's reaction was priceless.
Oh, that was fantastic.
I thought
that was
fantastic.
fantastic.
I thought he handled it very well. He or she, whoever's in the costume, he handled it extremely well. But yeah, people are upset because Murphy the Dragon is not back. Instead, they have Maleficent basically, I don't know if she's on she's being lifted on like a crane or what, but now she only goes up, and she doesn't go up as high as Murphy either. Like, she only goes up 35 feet instead of the 45 feet Murphy was.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, as long as she doesn't catch on fire, right?
Well, that's hopefully not what, yeah, hopefully she doesn't catch on fire. So I guess now she goes up and has a battle with Mickey, and then the water catches on fire instead. And the water is closer to the audience, but removed from Mickey and Maleficent.
Yeah, I remember a lot of people were like, why is everybody laughing at this? The audience could burn. I'm like, no, you've clearly never been to Disneyland. The audience
You've never been to Fantasmic.
The audience is not in danger.
Yeah, the audience is way far removed from this area with the waterway. So yeah, the people going to Disneyland, you can go watch Fantasmic again at Disneyland. However, the dragon isn't back, and we don't know. It sounds like they think they're trying to get the dragon back from comments that were made, but Toby Longo, who's from Disney Live Entertainment, had told the LA Times that we're excited for something to come back, and we're in the works and working on it. But I think that what I've done with that scene, the good versus evil, and the battle between Maleficent and Mickey, is spectacular. We all love the dragon, and we'll keep working on things, but there's not much I can say about it. So I'm hoping they're planning on bringing the dragon back. I hope they don't take the dragon out of Walt Disney World, but no Murphy yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it might be a case of it's just not worth replacing, because maybe they'll replace the whole show at some point.
I don't know. Well, they keep having trouble with the dragons and the shoot fire catching on fire, because we had Maleficent, the dragon from the Festival of Fantasy Parade.
Yes,
had caught on fire a couple times, I think, or at least once. And we keep having issues with this, and it's sad because the dragon effect is so impressive. Like, the Maleficent dragon from the Festival of Fantasy Parade is one of my favorite things. I just love it. It's so cool. And I don't think they do as much flame with her as they used to. Like, they toned it down some, but I would be sad if they stopped doing it completely.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about Club 33.
Yes, apparently there's a movie going on.
Are they trying to drive up memberships or what?
I don't know. We had, what haven't we turned into a movie yet? They're working on Space Mountain now. So what attraction haven't we turned into a movie? People Mover? No, we're going to go for Club 33.
When you first said Club 33, I thought you were talking about Club Cool at first. I was like,
Club Cool the movie.
Yeah.
Drink your way around the world.
Yeah.
But non-alcoholic. So you remember it the next day. So the story is going to be some mystery murder type story. It sounds a lot like, do you remember when they did the Tower of Terror movie?
Yes.
A lot of people don't know about this. There was a movie with Steve Guttenberg and Kirsten Dunst, and it was the Tower of Terror movie, around the time they opened the Tower of Terror after.
They used to do that. Every time they would open a new attraction in the parks, they always did a made-for-TV movie to promote it.
For Disney Channel or whatever. Or maybe it was ABC. I think
it was Wonderful World of Disney.
That might have been.
Yeah, I think so.
But because it was so many years ago, I barely remember, but I remember watching the movie. And that's kind of what this sounds like to me. They said the story centers on a young aspiring detective who receives a mysterious invite to the highly secretive Club 33. In this case, it's a magical and exclusive dining club whose members are the greatest and most iconic figures from across history. Gotta, kiss their butts and get those memberships up. When a murder is committed on the premises, the patrons look for the young detective to solve it. So that's, yeah.
So what's going to happen, though, if this movie comes out, if it winds up being a hit, which I don't think it's going to be because everything that Disney's done lately has not been, including movies based on...
It's been a hit to their financials, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Anti-money. They've been printing anti-money. But Haunted Mansion, of all the attractions, should have been one of the most bankable movies, and the movie did not do well.
Well, they also released it in summer, which was an odd choice.
They just wanted to dump it.
No, I honestly think, well, partly that, but I do think because they had deals, and they have it again this year. There's going to be new animatronics coming out from Lowe's and stuff. They have deals with different places for the Halloween merchandise. Halloween merchandise starts dropping in like July and August. Usually August for a lot of them. Sometimes you can get online in July. So they put the movie out then, probably to drive up sales of the merchandise. And they probably didn't want to overlap some of their releases later in the year because of strikes and everything else going on. And it just did not work out for them.
No. So I guess my thinking here is, so what is the purpose of this? You do Club 33. It's already got, or at least it had before the pandemic, had a waiting list.
It still has the waiting list, yes.
So
it's really ridiculously expensive. And you have to be invited.
You have to be invited to it. Yeah, this is where like a lot of the celebrities hang out. I know a lot of like Disney alumni celebrities get a free membership to it or whatever. But like, yeah, it's basically the richest, most exclusive Disney fans get into Club 33.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they're going to take that and turn it into a movie. So I don't know if it's going to cheapen Club 33 or if it's going to drive up demand for Club 33. And that's what Disney's hoping for, even though they have a wait list now.
Yeah, I don't understand. They'll probably just be like, no, we can sell Club 33 merchandise. We can sell lots of Club 33 merchandise now.
They already have Club 33 merchandise, but right now it's just sold
to the plebs. Sell it to the plebs.
Yeah, they're going to sell it to the plebs, which is going to devalue Club 33.
Yes.
It's like when you take a designer and that designer, then they start selling their line at like Walmart or Target.
Yeah, that's happened.
It devalues the designer line. That's why a lot of these designers, and I don't agree with it at all, but that's why when they have unsold merchandise, they destroy it, slash it, ruin it, throw it in the trash to keep it more exclusive, so that they don't do it on sale, so that the plebs can get it.
Yeah, it's kind of like Massimo. I remember that was a big thing.
Oh, Target. Yeah. So I don't know how this is going to work out for them, but this is like supposedly in development now. I think the premise is kind of cool. I have to see it, but we'll see how that goes.
I don't think it's going to do well. Okay, good luck with that, I guess.
Yeah, have fun.
Good luck with that.
Let's real quick, we'll run over here, talk about Bluey, and then we'll go over to Universal before we get to the ending things we're going to talk about the most. So, Bluey Day. Want to talk about the debacle? I'll let you talk about the Bluey Day debacle.
Yeah, as I understand it, there was a bootleg Bluey event in Las Vegas at a restaurant. What was it called? Dirt Dog? Dirt Dog. And yeah, they were gonna do like face painting, and they were gonna do like, hey, you can meet Bluey, you can watch Bluey
episodes,
Bluey episodes on TV, and apparently they did not realize how popular Bluey. That's their story. They did not realize how popular Bluey was because the demand far outweighed the capacity for the event, and also the event itself was pretty sad.
Yeah, I guess they said that they were running Bluey on TV without sound. They had some cupcakes, but people are saying they were overpriced. I mean, it was a free event to get in, but if you wanted that stuff, you had to pay extra. When they got there, Bluey was just a guy with like, his face exposed in a beard and a Bluey onesie.
So Bluey is a little girl dog. And so the kids get there, and it was on the news and everything. The kids get there and they're like, why is a grown man with a beard and a onesie Bluey? That's not Bluey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what happened. And the kids were upset. They were crying. It's basically like the Wonka debacle that we had in Scotland.
Oh, yeah.
A couple months ago. But no, this one was free at least. You didn't have to pay to get in. So at the end of this, they said they were going to redo another event, and they were going to actually get a Bluey costume character, and they were going to offer it on, I think, 9th of June? Yeah, June 9th. They were going to set another event and have a do-over. Well, we talked about this on our channel, and we said, I think I said, I'm just waiting for the cease and desist to hit. Yep. I thought it was going to be Disney. I really did. But it wasn't Disney. There was a cease and desist, but it came from the BBC.
Yeah, so I'm sure they're working closely with Disney on this one, because Disney might not have the legal right to be able to shut this down. But, Disney has shut down lots of events before. They've told people they can't put Spider-Man on a tombstone. They can't, what I'm saying? So they're very protective of this. And this hit the news. Like, I think if they just kind of did it on the down low, like we got a guy dressed like Bluey, but you're advertising this as an official Bluey event, or kind of, what I'm saying? And
plus they're saying they have a dude dressed as Bluey, and the people, like you heard, the employees are very excited. They like to do these community events. But when they kept referring to Bluey, they kept referring to Bluey as if Bluey was a boy.
Yeah.
Bluey is a girl.
Never watched Bluey, obviously.
So, I mean, there's that. But I mean, that's why they didn't expect the demand, because they didn't even know enough about it to know that it wasn't even the right gender for the character. But apparently the BBC put out a thing saying that they had learned from press reports that you held a prior Bluey Day event that descended into chaos with crying children and disappointed parents. To prevent all further harm, BBC Studios demands that you cancel all planned Bluey Day events and that you immediately and permanently cease offering any services or products in connection with or that use in any way the Bluey mark, any confusingly similar variations thereof, and any images of characters that are exclusive intellectual property of Ludo Studio. So, yeah, it's a bad look when the name Bluey is being associated with crying children.
Yeah, and that's usually when these companies step in is, one, are you making money off of our stuff? If you're making money off of our stuff and that's money we could have been making, we're going to stop you.
Well, they were doing it free, but they were selling cupcakes. But it was a free event, so they weren't making money, but yes.
And two, are you damaging our brand?
There you go.
And those are the two big ones. Are you damaging our brand or causing brand confusion? So if you're telling people this is a Bluey event, it's clearly not an official Bluey event, and now it's made headlines for being a disaster. Yeah, we don't want you doing this.
No. So Dirt Dog put out a statement as well. They said, with a heavy heart, we have to announce that we can no longer host a Bluey event for our community. The staff from Las Vegas to Los Angeles are completely disappointed with this news. We only had the purest intentions to give back to those around us. We sincerely hope the Vegas community will forgive us and continue to support us as we are still pushing forward in our community involvement. I guess they do a lot of community activities. We will continue to host more family events to give back to the families that continue to support us. We will be hosting our farmers market for our local entrepreneurs on June 9th, 2024, including a coloring station for kids, carnival games, free slushies, and so much more. We hope everyone affected by the previous event will come out and support small businesses in our community. So they're trying to turn a negative into a positive.
Right.
But the lesson here is don't use characters you don't own the rights to, especially if you're going to make children cry.
Yes, that is a huge takeaway. And I was very surprised that I'm like, you don't want to do this. You don't want to advertise this. I'm just saying you should know better, but there we are. Mm-hmm. All right. So what are we talking about
Okay.
next?
The two big ones we're going to talk about is the woman who is suing from the Humunga Cowabunga slide, not the injurious wedgie lady, which that came up. Same slide though. We're going to talk about her, and then we're going to talk about the Aladdin and Moana director.
Yes.
Talking about different things that happened. John Musker.
Yes.
And talking about Disney and his opinion of their recent choices and the direction of the company. So we'll start with the woman sues Disney.
Again.
Okay. So here's what happened from my understanding. Apparently a lady was at Typhoon Lagoon and she was with her fiance and his mom. She came down the Humunga Cowabunga water slide. This is the same water slide that the woman last year was suing, in September was suing, because she had a wedgie so severe that she had to have surgery on her female areas to fix it. Okay?
Yeah.
It was so bad. So apparently on May 11th, she was knocked unconscious after hitting her head. And then when she got to the end of the ride, she went limp into the water. So there were no lifeguards at the end of the attraction that they've had injuries on in the past. So her fiance went to get cast members to help. They said they had to get a lifeguard, and she was in the water and she was bleeding out of her mouth. And he went in the water and pulled her out of the water. And when the lifeguards got there, they called an ambulance, but they told her they didn't touch the victim because they were not allowed to do so. So here's the statement itself. Eventually, a lifeguard came and said they couldn't help or touch the plaintiff either, and they called an ambulance. Had Disney Parks had lifeguards at the end of the ride to watch and help guests coming off the ride, the plaintiff wouldn't have received a brain injury. They're arguing she received a brain injury because she was in the water and she was drowning in the water. And it would not have occurred, and she wouldn't have been drowning in the water, coughing up blood. So they're seeking $50,000 in damages and legal fees. Now, I think that's just the base. It's kind of like with the Gina Carano situation. She was only looked like she was seeking $50,000, but that's not what they're actually seeking. That's just the entry point.
Yes.
You know, it goes from there. It's at least $50,000 and it could go up more depending on what the courts say. It'd probably settle out of court, knowing Disney.
Yeah, they'll settle out of court. You'll never be allowed to talk about it again. You may never be allowed to go into a Disney park again. I mean, this is why, I mean, there are an awful lot of people that are funneled through Disney parks every day, and there are accidents that happen more often than the public hears about it. It's just that a lot of this stuff gets swept under the rug.
Well, the one from last year happened in 2019, and I guess she'd been going around with Disney for years. So and it was another case of $50,000 initial. She was riding Humunga Cowabunga, and the impact from her bottom hitting the water at the end of the water slide she hit the water. It was painfully forced up in, which caused her immediate and severe pain internally. She began bleeding from between her legs. She had to go to a local hospital.
You can guess where the water went. Yeah.
And she had to have repair done to her injuries by a specialist.
Oh, God.
So this is not, this water slide has a history of injury. And this other woman was on it, and she hit her head and ended up, possibly having a brain injury from the situation.
Yeah, I would not go on it anyway, because I don't like drops. And I don't like deep water. But I mean, I've watched videos of this thing, and I'm like, there's no way you could get me on this thing.
No, but
that's me.
I mean, you're laying down and everything, but it's going to shove things in places it shouldn't get shoved, and it would knock you around. And I could easily see how someone can hit their head. And then you're knocked out into the water, and if you're drowning in the water and you're bleeding out your mouth, yes, that's probably going to cause you some issues.
Well, that's like with Universal. They're talking they might get rid of the Rip Ride
Rocket,
because a woman had a brain injury on it.
Yeah, she hit her head, and she couldn't remember who she was and stuff. They said after that, right away. So, I mean, the one that gets me, and it's down right now, is the Rock and Roller Coaster, because if you ride that thing, your head gets slammed. Like, don't ride Rock and Roller Coaster with earrings, especially. It slams your head. So you're going to ram that earring right into your neck or behind your ears.
The kids won't even ride it. It's so weird, because you were telling me before it wasn't. I mean, it's not really that. I'm not into inversions. I don't like coasters to begin with, but inversions are like, hell no, I'm not doing it. But I have a back injury. So
you should
for me,
ride that.
I can't, I can't ride anything like that, because if it knocks one vertebrae out of place, it's just like a house of cards. The whole thing falls down, and I'm out of commission for like a week or two.
Well, that's what usually happens when we go down there, because you hurt yourself somehow.
Yeah.
My dad's the opposite. He's had heart surgery and stuff, and when it says don't ride if you have a heart condition, my dad's like, that means ride it right now,
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean,
we're going on Mission Space Orange.
Yeah, he did though.
He did.
I know, because my dad is like, I'll ride whatever, I don't care. He's like, he isn't afraid of anything.
He just had heart. The last time he was down there, he had the heart surgery like the year before.
And then he went and wrote Mission Space Orange.
Mission Space Orange, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
I know, that's my dad. So my dad, if he could stand up and ride these coasters and standing up, he'd do that too. It's very my father. But be warned about these. If you're at Typhoon Lagoon, understand that when it comes to Humunga Cowabunga, there's a risk of injury. I mean, there just is. It's been happening. This isn't the first time. A lot of people ride it and they're fine. It's just that there is the risk, and keep that in mind. So I don't know what's going to happen with this. It's going to court, I guess. I don't know if Disney's going to settle. I don't know if Disney settled the last one. You never heard anything else about it? They probably did. Who knows?
Yep, I'm sure.
So that's one thing we're going to talk about. The other thing we're going to talk about is John Musker, who worked at Disney for years. He worked on Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, Hercules, all these different films for Disney, Moana, I guess. He said that he's concerned about the direction Disney has been going of late. He said they need to do a course correction. And this is something that I agree with.
Yeah.
He said, I think they need to do a course correction a bit in terms of putting the message secondary behind entertainment and compelling story and engaging characters. Okay. He said the classic Disney films didn't start out trying to have a message. They wanted you to get involved with the characters and the story and the world. And I think that's still the heart of it. You don't have to exclude agendas, but you have to first create characters that you sympathize with and who are compelling. And there's been a lot of issues lately in Disney's movies where they're pushing, people argue they're pushing agenda over story. And he said we weren't trying to be woke. Oh, he's talking about Princess and the Frog. He said they put Princess and the Frog out. He said, though I understand the criticism, they're just trying to do good characters and agenda second. But lately, that's not kind of how Disney's been presenting things.
Yeah, so this kind of does take us back to the beginning of the podcast, right? That Disney has kind of lost the plot, and they have chased, I guess, high fives from social media and from the press, but at the expense in a lot of ways of the story. And like, it doesn't matter what kind of representation you show on screen if nobody shows up to the movie, because the movie is just ham-fisted. Right.
Or that they've had a history of ham-fisted movies.
Right. And that's the thing too. You can actually, once your brand is damaged, it's very hard to regain trust. It takes a lot more to regain trust than it does to lose trust. But yeah, a lot of people, like, you can kind of see it with Marvel and Star Wars. Like, they gave the first couple a chance with Star Wars, and it kind of faltered and sputtered out. Now, like, anything Star Wars just does not perform.
Well, you got The Mandalorian. It started out great, and then they started making changes and tinkering with it and getting rid of people for different opinions and things like that. And it turned the audience off. And then you get to Obi-Wan, and you think Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to be Obi-Wan and Luke, because Obi-Wan was in charge of watching Luke. And then they made it about Leia, which made no sense whatsoever.
It didn't make any sense.
Because, you had to have it about a girl. And there's a tendency that they keep pushing. And I'm sorry, they have been pushing agenda over storytelling. And look, that's not saying you cannot have diversity and messaging in the films. I'm not saying that at all. They have for years. That's nothing new. The issue is you need to first make a good story and good characters, which is what he's saying. And then you can put that stuff in there. It's like the pill and the ice cream. But you have to have really, really good ice cream first. Everybody's there for the ice cream, so you can get the pill in there. And they are just like, it's a pill with no ice cream, and it's like a suppository with no ice cream. And you don't even get the ice cream, but you're supposed to just bend over and take the suppository, and there's no payoff with ice cream.
I think the biggest problem at the end of the day is that Disney, and again, I think I go back to Bob Iger. They view their audience as an ATM machine. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to.
He makes that very clear.
Yeah, you are supposed to consume whatever they put out because they slapped a princess on it, or they drag Walt out when it's convenient for them, when they want to market the company. And I think the reason that they have that, how Disney Built America show is because they want to try to put this, put the warm fuzzies into Disney again, because they tried to get away. It seemed like they tried to get away from Walt for a while, and now they're trying to go back to
there was concerns they were going to take his name off of the company, a while there.
But the Walt they're showing in that show is not the real Walt Disney. The real Walt Disney he was a tough nut, and he would have not been okay with the way this company is being run.
No. And he wanted to do things like, to make things for families, and like Disneyland, for example, he wanted a park for families to go. And he wanted it family focused, because at the time that they did Disneyland, a lot of theme parks had closed down, and they were very sketchy. And he wanted a nice, fun place for families to go to be involved in Disney, because people were asking to meet Mickey and Minnie. And that way they could take their kids, have a safe place. It's a fun place. It's a family place. It's an affordable place. Well, we have family and fun mostly, but the affordability has gone by the wayside.
And what didn't he want at Disneyland? He didn't want alcohol, and he didn't want roller coasters. And what do we got?
I know, it's true.
What do we got?
But interestingly enough, back to talking about what was going on with this, Musker was also talking about The Little Mermaid, for example, and he's talking about how companies are trying to reduce risk by what we talked about at the beginning, just making another movie, selling the same movie over again in different forms.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're trying to make it better, or they're trying to do live action remakes of everything, or whatever, and it doesn't always work. And he said about The Little Mermaid, mostly about what a lot of people talked about were Flounder and Sebastian were very creepy looking. But he said companies are always like, how do we reduce our risk? They like this, right? We'll just do it again and sell it to them in a different form, live action remake. Or they think, well, we could make it better. They didn't play up the father-daughter story in the live action Little Mermaid. And that was the heart of the movie in a way. And the crab, you could look at a live animal zoo and they have more expression. And he's talking about, like with The Lion King, because everybody says how soulless they are. That's one of the basic things about Disney is the appeal. That's what animation does best, is some things don't translate into live action like The Lion King or the Sebastian the Crab.
Yeah, and it really is kind of like ripping the heart out of Disney, because it's like, I mean, this is, the reason that a lot of these characters resonated with people is that they could only exist in animation. And in some ways, they're more real to people because of the way that they're animated. It doesn't work in live action. But it just shows just how creatively bankrupt the company is, and that Bob Iger just looks at everything as it's just IP to be exploited. That's all he cares about.
The thing is, like, they spend how much money on this stuff and it doesn't do well, and they're losing money. They keep, every time you turn around, you're seeing how much money they lost on this or that. Little Mermaid didn't make a lot. It only made like 60 million or something like that. It did not make, they spent a ton of money on it. Ton of money in advertising. The return was not, the return on investment, the ROI was not worth it. They could have taken all that money and done a couple other movies that would have probably done much, much better. They could have made original live action movies. They could have done original animated things that maybe, like, look at these. They need to look at what worked and what has worked and resonated with people over the years, and then try to bring that feeling, not copy the movie, but bring those feelings, like what invokes these feelings, what invokes audience interest, and do that again on new stories. And they aren't doing that. Instead, they're just doubling, tripling down on established things. And yeah, it's going to work because everybody keeps wanting to go see more Frozen, because they want, especially now when there's been so many disappointments and everything else they've done, when they do something you like, you want to, I'll go to that because at least I'll get some entertainment out of it, because I know I like Frozen. You know what I mean? I know I like Toy Story,
But it can backfire because what happens is sometimes a poor sequel or prequel or follow-up or whatever can actually destroy Star Wars. It can retroactively destroy the entire brand. Like, if I'm gonna be completely honest, if Disney had acquired Lucasfilm and just left Star Wars alone and didn't make more movies, I honestly think the brand would be more viable now. Yeah,
but they couldn't do that because they spent so much money on it. But they ruined They literally ruined everything that was worth at Lucasfilm. They ruined Willow. It was pulled down within, 6 months. They ruined Indiana Jones, lost a ton of movie on that. And then they've ruined Star Wars. They've really ruined Star Wars. They've had maybe 1 or 2 good things for every 10 bad things. It's just...
Yeah, people aren't coming back because, like The Mandalorian, that was like a bright spot that they had, and some of the more jaded fans, myself included, I actually started to come. I'm like, okay, well, if they can do more of this, maybe. And then they dropped the ball with the 3rd season and with the Gina Carano firing, the way that she got fired, and it just put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Now they're like, you know what? I give you another chance, and that's it.
And they're starting. There was a thing on Axios where they're starting to gain, like, I don't want to do political things because I don't like doing that, but they're talking about, like, a lot of Democrats and Republicans and how they see Disney. And last year we talked about on our other blog how Disney's the trust in the brand was down significantly. Yeah. Well, they're winning people back. They've started winning people back. And I don't know how long it's going to last. They're just going to keep making bad decisions. So I'm hoping that we see that we go back to seeing movies as they were, where it was about great characters, great story. And yes, there's messaging and there's diversity and inclusion, and there should be diversity and inclusion, but you need to do it in such a way that the story and the characters are first. And oh yeah, by the way, we're going to add diversity and inclusion, not just, if you don't like it, you're a bigot. You can't do that.
No,
people are, and now, sadly, as soon as they see that you're even having any kind of agenda at all, they're turning their backs on it. They don't even give it a chance. The Haunted Mansion is a perfect example. They didn't even give it a chance.
Yeah, that was criminal. How poorly they marketed that movie and the reception to it, because it was pretty solid. It was pretty solid. But again, people, when they've been burnt so many times and everything's been political,
and the money's hard to come by. You're not going to spend it. You're going to give it to where you're going to get what you want. Yeah. And customer is king. And they don't remember that. They don't. So anyway, we've gone really long. It's only almost 45 minutes now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so are we going to wrap this one up, yes. I think. So again, please subscribe wherever you found this podcast. Check us out on our other social media platforms, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye. Thanks again for listening. More news and videos are available on our website at www.piratesandprincesses.net. our YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. If you like the show, please consider subscribing and leaving us a positive review on iTunes and other podcast platforms. This podcast is a production of Clownfish Studios, LLC, and Web Reef Media, and we'll see you next time.